Welcome to the Pflugerville Community Development Corporation regular meeting. I have called the meeting to order at 6:04. We will go into the opening, which is the Pledge of Allegiance to the U.S. flag, the Texas flag. We will have a moment of silence. And then after the moments of silence, I will move into item 3. So if you would, please stand with me and we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance in this moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor
the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
We'll now move into the items of community interest. At this point, I'll turn it over to our Executive Director, Jerry Jones.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Let me start off by introducing 3 new staff members that we have. We'll start off with Andrew Yu. He is our new Business Development Director, has an extensive background in economic development. We're so happy to have him join us. Andrew Yu. And then next we will have, I'm afraid because I don't know who's coming up next. Okay, next we will have Trinity Boudreau. Trinity is our business research and data analyst. We're excited to have her. She will be helping on a lot of different projects, not just one area of our organization, but all of those areas. She'll be working on software, devices, and bringing things together for us on data so that we can be able to fill out information a whole lot quicker and more efficient. So we're super happy to have her to join us, and welcome to the team. And I obviously know who the next person is. It's Juliana. Juliana Aneko Sapp. She just got married, so her last name is Sapp now. She is the Innovation Entrepreneurship Manager. She is going to be working with our small businesses. And for those in the public, please remember small businesses are those who have 500 employees or less. So any of our non-primary job businesses, she's going to be working with them to scale and hopefully assist them with hiring more people as they grow, and then also attracting new small businesses as well as retail and restaurants. So we're super happy to have her. All three of those ladies and gentlemen have really hit the ground running and have already started to add value to our team, and we're super happy to have all of them. Thank you again, Juliana. I'd also like to say at this time, thank you to each of the board members. Last year, coming on board to have this opportunity to be able to look at our strategic plan, look at the Aspire plan, and have the ability to say, this is what's going to get us to achieve our goals within those 2 plans. You all heard that, supported the ability for us to ramp up this team. And we went out and grabbed the most talented individuals. There was a very lengthy process for each and every single one of these individuals. We're talking about 4 tries on the business development director position, 3 tries on the innovation entrepreneurship position. So we were very thoughtful about this team. We recognized that you all had voted to support us adding 3 individuals to this team, and we want to make sure that we brought the most talented individuals to Pflugerville to do the work of this community. So thank you all to each of our board members for your support in last year's budget cycle. I believe that is the only items left in items of community interest.
Okay. Any other items that the council members may have? The board members, I'm sorry, as well as board member, council member, / court.
Yeah, last night.
Okay.
Real late.
Very good.
I feel like I'm in timeout over here. But wait,
All right.
If Mark's out of town, I'll move over there in a minute.
Well, we will now move on to item 4, public comment. In accordance with the Texas Attorney General's opinion, any public comment that is made on an item that is not on the published final agenda will only be heard by the PCDC board. No formal action, discussion, deliberation, or comment will be made by the PCDC board. Each person providing public comment will be limited to 3 minutes. And to my knowledge, Lisa, we have no one who has requested.
No
Okay.
request for public comment.
All right. So we have, I read this because I want to make it clear that if anyone does present for public comment, those are particular rules that we have to follow by statute. We are now, or by Attorney General's opinion. We'll now move into the public hearing portion of our agenda tonight. And the first item is, we have 2 public hearing items. The first one is 2026-0395, in accordance with the Texas Local Government Code, Section 505.159. The City of Pflugerville Community Development Corporation, PCDC, will hold a public hearing regarding expenditures for the following project being considered by the PCDC. This is Project Princess, funding not to exceed $250,000. This public hearing is now open. Anyone wishing to speak? Okay, Adam makes the motion to close. Oscar second. And
Yes.
Caesar will start. Oh, Caesar, yes. Adam, yes.
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 Oscar, yes. Darrell, yes.
yes,
Okay, DJ's yes. So it is the 5-0 vote to close the hearing. We'll now move to our second hearing, which is item 2026-0396, in accordance with Texas Local Government Code, Section 505.159. The City of Pflugerville Community Development Corporation, PCDC, will hold a public hearing regarding expenditures for the following project being considered by the PCDC, which is Project Print, funding not to exceed $600,000. We now have the public hearing is open. Anyone wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Close the hearing.
Okay, Adam motions to close. Do I have a second?
Second.
Oscar, second. DJ, we'll start with you.
aye,
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
So we have 5 in the affirmative to close. We now move to our regular meeting agenda, item 6A, 2026-0398. Discuss and consider action to approve the PCDC March 25th, 2026 regular meeting minutes. I make a motion that we approve those minutes as presented. Okay, Darrell makes the motion. Oscar gives the second. DJ, I'll start on your end again.
aye,
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
We have 5-0 in the affirmative. Next, we go to the review and discussion of the PCDC March 2026 staff report to the Board of Directors, which is item 6B, 2026-0399. I'll turn this over to our Executive Director.
Again, good evening. One of the things I want to highlight, just based off of the information that we have as it relates to business recruitment, retention, and expansion, you will hear a lot of times when we're trying to attract new businesses, you will hear that site selectors, they want to know how are your current businesses doing. And so we're very fortunate to have Stacy working on BRE, going and making these visits, talking to our primary jobs throughout this community and just finding out what do they need. From those conversations, around 60 to 80% is where you find an increase in the jobs and growth within your community. So a lot of communities, especially economic development organizations, put a lot of their strength in going out and looking for business attraction for new businesses. But what we see and the data supports it, is that 60 to 80% of the actual job growth and the expansion growth in your community is based off the businesses that are already here. And so that attention that we're putting towards going and getting in front of those execs, really trying to figure out what is it that they need. Do they need an increase in workforce? Is training an issue? Do they have a specific type of training that they need? And some of these conversations are drawing us to places like TSTC that are able to kind of contour their training to the exact need of the particular company. And so just wanted to highlight the sites that were visited in March because it's going to be important. It's the very thing that has shaped our two projects that are pending now, just based off of those visits. So those are those projects that you can get a win for real quick just by doing that outreach and that contact with those particular businesses that are already here. And they make really good campaign cheerleaders for the new businesses that come and ask questions about how are the existing businesses doing. So out of this report, that's the one piece that I really wanted to highlight to you all as a board as well as to the community is the importance of that BRE that takes place.
Gary?
Yes.
So as a small business owner, I always like to remind the board, I started my business in Pflugerville, but when I started to scale and needed larger room, I couldn't find it. So that gap, that 3,000 to 5,000 square foot of space is a huge gap, I know, at least for my industry. And are we hearing that feedback still from small businesses that they're needing larger spaces to scale? Because Pflugerville seems to be 1,500 feet, and then the next is 30,000 feet,
Well,
or 50,000 feet.
the next is 100 and some thousand.
Yeah, so how are we assessing that gap?
So this is a twofold situation, and so I'll explain it like this. So when we talk about small businesses that are looking for that 3,000 to 5,000 square feet of space, that is still a real gap in this community. Recently, we did a site visit with a investor who owns a lot of retail strip centers already throughout Central Texas. And one of the concepts that we've been talking to developers about is coming in and identifying commercial space that needs to be rehabbed, solely because currently right now the cost to build a strip center is so high, just like anything else. And so they're seeing a return on buying, I'm going to say aged products, and then converting them to address the needs that you're referencing. And so that's happening in other communities. What we've heard from not just retail or small businesses, but we've also heard the same thing from industrial-sized businesses, that there's other communities that have funds, that have pots of funds that they market to help entice that same development. What I've noticed is when the developer expressed that a neighboring community has those funds or that pot of money, in the conversation, I would look over and say, well, we have that same amount, but we actually have more, but it's not marketed as such. And that's where I really think that we're going to have to ramp up, is how we market the availability of incentive dollars to lure those who can close that gap that we're experiencing, not just on the retail and small, but also on the industrial size, because industrial size is now looking for 50,000 square feet instead of 175 or 200,000 square feet like we've been seeing. So it's really addressing both needs so that there's a balance to where we are growing, not just in spec buildings, but we're also growing in commercial and I'm going to say commercial as well as suburban office space as well. And that is something that I'm pointing at both of them, but that is something that Juliana and as well as Stacy, they're both kind of hearing and relaying back to me already. So.
Okay. So this is a review and discuss. So is there any other discussion? So that will close this item. We'll move to item 6C. This is a discussion only. This is 2026-0425, discussion on PCDC budget priorities for 2027. And for those who are not aware, basically what we're looking at is the fiscal year of the city of the community, and it starts on October 1st. So when we talk about this budget, we're looking at coming up to October 1st, 2026 through into September 2027. With that, I will turn it over to our executive director.
So it feels like we just got through talking about budget. and we're back again. So this is, I customarily place this on agendas earlier than what is normal. This is really an opportunity to hear from the board some of those areas that you would like for us to make sure that we're focusing on as we build out the budget. Going back to what I just heard Board Member Lozada express was the need for us to identify how do we either fund or market or attract developers who would assist in alleviating that gap. I think we're going to have a conversation also on marketing those funds as opportunities to lure. And so that's kind of goes back into the whole conversation of the budget. We have funds in our budget, and I'm going to say a very the amount in the budget is public knowledge. The $500,000 that we have in the line item for retail infrastructure in incentives is really to leverage a much bigger draw, like a shopping center as a whole. But then we also have $1 million in this year's budget for purchase or acquisition of property. What we will either in May or June, we'll be bringing a concept to the board to consider how do we leverage the acquisition funds in a way that doesn't really go after purchasing property, but still finds a way to achieve the goal of the future of the city expanding and growing as it needs to, and not really leveraging or using funds to purchase additional property as of yet. So we'll be coming to you all about how to repurpose, but still gain more by the repurpose of those dollars. One of the things that I will share at this time, I do not believe that I will be coming to this board to ask for any increases in the budget bottom number. I'm going to be moving some of these funds around that we have noticed that we may not use as much in one line item versus the other, and we will shift. This is going to be the first full year that we will have an entire, 7-member staff. And so I don't want to make any new requests without really figuring out what the financial landscape is going to be. And so we're going to deal with the funds that we have, and make those do what we need in order to grow our community. So, hope that addressed the question. It was a long.
And Mr. President, if you would entertain one more question for me or comment. As a new person on the board and learning how this works, would it be, thinking about the people in the community who might not really understand how that mixture has to work so that we're getting tax dollars and we're also creating a welcoming space for businesses to thrive? Could you speak just briefly on what that tension is like so that we can provide some education for the community about what considerations have to go into those decisions? Does that make sense, the question?
If you could just give me a little bit more, so I'll make sure I'm
If we bring in a
answering.
lot of small businesses, that might not necessarily grow our tax base as much as a large industrial park, and what that tension is like, because I think that would be some good information to share for the general public.
So I'm going to answer it as quickly and as concise as I possibly can, so y'all bear with me for a second. One of the main reasons why economic development 4B corporations push so strongly for primary jobs is because of the size of the building, the size of the jobs that are offered, as well as the ad valorem that are paid, i.e. property taxes. And so it allows you to grow your community by the property tax as well as the income that those individuals that live in your community are able to make. And why we push so strongly for these types of jobs is because of the disposable income that those individuals be able to have. When I say disposable income, I mean after you've paid all your bills, what do you have left to spend? And those are the funds that draw and attract retail spaces, which kind of goes back to my comments, not necessarily supporting, but definitely not resisting, is with balance apartment developments. With balance, everything needs to be balanced. I'm not saying to put apartments all down in one particular area, just with balance. Most retail spaces need 20 individuals to come through their door in hopes that 2 people will buy something. And so if you are wanting retail in your community, but you don't want a significant amount of households in your community, one of them is something's got to rub there. And that's why there's such a push that you can see in most urbanized communities is to put retail on the bottom floor and then put the dense housing product on the top floors, because they know that before those folks walk into their homes, they got to walk past the retail spaces. And so this is why a lot of times when you're talking about what is your bang for buck, we know that the businesses that are surrounding us right now, they pay very good in ad valorem. To speak to a comment that I've seen recently, there's no tax abatements that we've been a part of. So the businesses that are in this area, they're paying property taxes. And the folks who work in those spaces, they're buying goods and services and paying sales tax. So when we think about the smaller businesses, they are just as important. They just may not have as much punch as these larger spaces. But there has to be a delicate balance between how many large businesses we have and how many small businesses that we attract. And that's why it was so important for us to have an innovation entrepreneurship manager and a BRE director. We don't ever expect, and we had this conversation, Stacey and I, Stacey's role is never to go to, and I'm sorry, Juice Land, you're very much welcomed here, okay? But I'm just giving an example. Stacey should never go to Juice Land to talk to Juice Land, right? That is Juliana that goes talk to Juice Land. Stacy goes to Cortec or to Exaco or over here to EOS, and those, or our good friends over at Cumberland. Those are the folks that she goes and engage and find out what are your needs, because when they hire or invest $3 million in a project or $7 million in a project, those are jobs that are making more than $50,000 a year. And when you get two people in a household who are making more than the state's average, that's how you're able to have a community like Pflugerville that constantly is getting ranked in the top 20 as the best place to live in Texas. So I hope I said that as concise as I possibly can. I probably set a record for how short and quick I was.
It was great.
Okay. Anyone else have any other comments? This is a discussion-only item.
Where'd you get that, the two, I mean, for 20 people, 2 people purchase? That's an interesting one.
I didn't understand it either, but Retail Strategies, it was either Retail Coach or Retail Strategies. They had it was one of those like FYI or things you should know about retail. And that was the number. It was for every 20 people walk through the doorway, they anticipate 2. And it made sense because when I was younger, working at a shoe store, the manager always pushed for how many people come through the doorway. There was a number of expectations. She would never tell us what the expectation was, but there was always, if that door clicked because somebody walked through it, she would tell us at the end of the night, did we meet our quota on how many purchases took place. So retailers do think about that, which is why you will hear most retail employees say the very least of their cares are window shoppers, because you're coming through and you're counting against their clicks on how many sales they have to have. So it's just an interesting fact. Or data point, rather.
I also have a comment to kind of, something for you to comment on. To dovetail with everything you just said, maybe explain to the public why we have an emphasis on, that disposable income, but also the sales tax revenue, because that is the source of funds for PCDC to do what it's doing.
So that's why I always use the acronym, the pitcher and the cup. The pitcher, the water that gets poured into the pitcher is sales tax. That sales tax is derived from all of the sales tax generating businesses in the city of Pflugerville. Our main state statute driven goal is to drive primary jobs. Those primary jobs oftentimes do not generate sales tax, but they generate high wage earners. And so the more we're able to get high wage earners to get employed at these locations, at these companies, the better chances they will then go to our Walmart, go to our Stonehill, go to our other small businesses and shop and spend money there, thus creating more sales tax, and then turn around and it comes to PCDC's bank, and then we're able to invest more into attracting new businesses or investing into businesses that are already here and allowing them to expand and hire additional people, thus causing this cycle to take place all over again. So it's really important that we invest not just in attracting new businesses, but really paying attention to our current established businesses, and then also making sure that we don't leave out our small mom and pop stores. There's just specific things that we're able to do for them. And then there's partners that we will be working with to make sure that they play their role as the year unfolds.
Well, I think you did a wonderful job last night at City Council explaining the balance when we were talking about apartments and stuff, that, big businesses will bring in people who need to stay in the apartments, but the apartments will bring in the smaller businesses. And the smaller businesses don't necessarily choose to be in communities, but they want to be near the apartments, and all that is driven all together. And it was refreshing hearing that, because either people want big businesses or they want small businesses, but they don't understand that all of it works in unison. And so I think you did a great job last night explaining that.
Thank you.
Yeah, so one of the things that, as an example, is when the Stone Hills discussion, where Newquest, where Stone Hill Shopping Center is right now, that destination, one of the issues that our city had to wrestle with was the fact that that development was going to start off with those retail businesses, but then there were also going to be basically the way you see it today, the apartments that are right next to the shopping centers, where the hotels are located, even where that neighborhood is. Those are all considerations that went into Newquest making the decision where they wanted Stone Hill to be located. So those are not discussions that, well, this is what they considered. No, they put the pencil to paper. They come up with, is it going to be viable for us to be in this community? And my point in bringing up Stone Hill is when they started building that, the only thing that was around them was the neighborhood. It was fairly close, Highland Park. Everything else was dirt. So it was part of the vision and the plan, going to the apartments with the people, driving the retail businesses. And so what we have to do when it comes to the budget and looking at our numbers is we have to constantly look at what is the realistic future and how do we plan for that and make those decisions. And we have to be very careful that we don't get caught up into a particular number or something we have to think that, oh, this is going to be important. The only thing that matters is, in this case, I'm using basically Newquest, I'll use it that way, that's the developer that went in and started it up, is they had to make sure that when they did this, it was going to be financially viable for them. And something that I was sharing just recently, matter of fact, like today, is the fact that all that happened in that 2006, 7, 8, 9 year time period. And if anybody knows anything about economics and recessions and so forth in the United States, that's when that was happening. So if they say that, well, developers won't do it, what I'm getting at is the city of Pflugerville and the Pflugerville Community Development Corporation worked with that organization to make that happen. Not because we were perfect, not because we were the best case, it's because we could make the case and they knew that developer knew that they understood we were willing to work with them and certain things to make it happen. And just to sort of take out some mystery, at that time, you could not have the signage in Pflugerville the way you see it at Stonehill. Basically, some of those giant signs, I mean, they can probably see them from Mars, since we are talking about space travel, in the current discussion. But the point is, when we look at a budget and we see these numbers, it's not just the numbers we're having to work on. It's what do those dollars allow Jerry and his staff do in attracting and helping these businesses come in. So the apartment piece is definitely part of that discussion. It's all those elements.
And something else, again, Jerry is not, I don't foresee my future investing in building apartments and becoming an apartment king or anything. But it's always important. I'm always reading and looking on, just social media to see how the community responds to development. And you see this mixture of, we want our kids to come back here and to live here. And then you see, we don't want apartments. Now, what I believe is what's in between that message is balance. I believe folks want balance. That's what they're really asking for. And that's what I hear. But we have to be careful that to understand that kids are not wanting to have much responsibility on cutting grass and having yard space. These developers, when they do sell, they are selling it because there's some science to what they're building now. Now, I'm a person that wants one on a yard. I love cutting grass, but today's trend is to not have that much of a yard. And so people are buying what the trend is saying for them to do. And retail is the same way. Retail says if I can't get a sign up in the air, then the message in my mind is that I'm not going to attract enough customers to an area. So we don't typically understand the why behind those big gaudy signs, right? But there's science to the profession that says this is the why behind what we want or what we're requiring in order to locate in a community. So that's
And it's a good point, if I could, a good opportunity to take the time underlying it all. A new executive director doesn't just come into a community and know that community because he or she plants their feet there. That takes time to get to know the character, to get to know the people, what the people are looking for, how the trends are affecting those communities. And so to come into a new community and in a year have such an understanding of what Pflugerville and Pflugervillians are seeking, that takes time to get that right. And if you rush it and you don't learn how to ask the right questions, which is what I'm learning under a mentorship from our esteemed president, you have to know what questions to ask, and you have to know who to ask those questions to. And if you don't have the time and the resources to do that, then the questions later becomes, why didn't you ask those questions? Why didn't you ask those right questions? So we also have to have a very good balance in understanding that you don't build a plane while you're flying it.
Well, you know, one thing that I'm going to have to praise you a little bit here in front of your crew, but when we were considering Jerry, Jerry came to Pflugerville as a secret shopper when he's laughing there.
You're being kind.
He came all over Pflugerville and walked around, sat in our restaurants and met people and talked to people and did everything because that was a part of his research at Pflugerville. He wanted to be a part of the community and learn the community. I think you were the only candidate that did that.
really.
I believe so. Yeah.
By the way, Victory Tap has a really good biscuit and chicken combo. You should really try it out. It's really good. It's really good, and enjoyed it. Thank you.
Very good. Any other comments? Do you have the information
So-
at this stage that you wanted from us?
We're going to plug the numbers, but we want to, as you think about this, text, call, Skype, Facebook, all those things, and just let us know, kind of like, hey, we want you to pay more attention to this or pay more attention to that. That's going to shape how we plug those numbers in. So we want to hear from this board on those things. We are going to really push extremely strong on getting more economic development projects as far as incentivizing those projects and getting those and attracting them to our community. So we will ramp up in that area. So we want to hear from you all what you want to see more of, because that's going to shape how we build this budget out.
Yeah, I'd be curious, you talked about this, but your view on, sponsorship of clubs as a way to
Yes, we've had this discussion a few times. One of the particular ones come to mind that deals with veterans. I believe we can do more to attract that conference to this community. We talk about, I was a panelist during that time period, and we talked about economic development at great length, small business development at great length. And I just felt that it should not have been where it was. It should have been here in Pflugerville. So those are those opportunities. We do have a line item for it. So we just need to get them over here. That's all. We just need to get them here.
Okay.
Good feedback, though. We'll make sure that that's more outlined. Again, what I walked away From the meeting that we had with the investors, what I'll call them, we have to market our buckets of funds. And that was made very clear to us the other day, so.
Okay. Very good. We will now go on and discuss item 6D. And this is item 2026-0426. Darren, yeah. So discussion and receive presentation regarding update for the construction of the Helios Way right-in and right-out driveway and Impact Way Phase 4 projects and matters related to the same. Darren?
Good evening, Board. Darren Strzeski with DCS. Great to see you all again tonight. Project principal for the project. I'm going to introduce Corey Marks. She's the project manager on the construction. And then I've also got Tommy McDougall with me. He's our senior construction manager as well. So Corey's going to take over tonight. I know y'all are used to me talking, but she's going to present. And if we get into design issues, then I'll step forward because I've got the history on the design side, but she'll take it over from here.
Good evening. Is the PowerPoint gonna come up or? Oh. Good evening, everyone. As Darren mentioned, my name is Corey. I'm construction manager for the Helios Way and Impact Way projects. So for a construction update this evening, we'll start out with Helios Way, which is being constructed in 3 phases. If I can get there. There we go. Okay, so it's being constructed in 3 phases. For today's update, what we're going to talk about is the areas highlighted in green and blue, phase 1 and 2, and then the little yellow portion up there is going to be phase 3, which has not begun yet. And then, so part of the Helios Way update is going to be your acceleration and deceleration lanes right along SH 130, as well as the right-in and right-out driveway. It's skipping a slide. The next one's supposed to be the driveway.
Adam, you want to take over the clicking part? Because it might be a little bit more.
There's supposed to be the driveway portion in between this one. Either way, so it'll be the turn lanes and then the driveway. This all makes up phase 1 of Helios Way, which is now complete. It was approved and signed off on by TxDOT on March 2nd. So the driveway and the turn lanes are open to traffic. I don't know if y'all have seen it out there, but it's looking really good. And then with the completion of phase 1, the contractor is currently constructing phase 2, which is the long stretch of Helios Way. Right now, they are planning to pour concrete for this portion of the project next Wednesday is my latest update. So this portion will be completed here by the end of the month, hopefully early May at the latest. Oh my goodness. Okay, moving on to Impact Way. Right now, the contractor has the road cut and the final grading is all complete. The latest update that we have after looking at it today is they've started to lay the roadway base. So once they get that completed, the next step will be moving into the curb and gutter, getting the concrete sidewalks installed, and then laying the asphalt as well. Okay, and then just a couple more updates on Impact Way, just to show you a little area right there where you can see that connection between where we finished on phase 3 and then moving into the beginning portion of phase 4. And then we've got the completed retaining wall over here on the southeast side of the project. As far as schedule goes, the contracted schedule, the notice to proceed was September 11th, 2025. Interim substantial completion, which was for the work that needed to be completed within the TxDOT right-of-way, that was the turn lanes and the driveway. That was scheduled to be completed by March 12th. The contractor finished that by March 2nd, so they were 10 days ahead on that. Substantial completion is contracted to be complete on September 9th, 2026, and final completion on October 9th, 2026. Based on the contractor's current schedule, they are about 35 days ahead of schedule, so hoping to keep that momentum going. And then as far as project cost, the budgeted cost for this project was $7.6 million. We got the contractor at 5.8. And then with the addition of any change orders, which includes the cost of all dry utilities, we have an additional $25,000. So our current actual project cost is $5.88 million.
What happens to the difference?
I'm sorry?
What happens to the difference?
To the difference,
Like if it comes in under budget,
well, hopefully PCDC can allocate those funds somewhere else.
comes back to it. That's what I want.
Yeah. And then a couple of additional items that we have going on for this project. We're working on a POA agreement with PCDC, their general counsel and ourselves for Helios Way. And then we've also got an additional lighting request to put in at the intersection of Helios Way and Impact Way. We have a recent update on that one. We've been coordinating with PCDC and Encore on this. Encore has been a little slow to respond, but we got them an estimate today, so we'll be putting together another change order to install that additional light.
Am I going to have a heart attack?
No, it was, I think we quoted it at like 25,000 and it should be right around there or under.
Okay. And just for you all to know about this additional lighting, we had a business owner that came to the office and was really sharing that they have cameras on their building. And when someone is needing information as to who came through here, what time of the night, that intersection, a particular part of the intersection, I don't want to give too much information out, is not as visible as it should be for the camera usage. And so our thought process is they're already tearing up the roadway. This might be a really great time to put a lighting in. And so that's what she's talking about when she, now he's going to really think that we responded to him in great fashion. He's going to think that he can get anything he wants done around here. But it just happened to work out that we were doing a construction project on that site. So that's how we were able to put that additional light there.
Question. Is there, or two questions. One, I assume that's a four-way intersection, a four-way stop? Okay.
Yes.
Also, have you guys looked at the type of lighting, downward facing, minimize light pollution, that kind of stuff?
Great question. So right now, we've got the metal halide. There's one post at this intersection. It's actually on our corner of this side. And so we're going to have that replaced with an LED, dark skies light. And then on the caddy corner, we're going to have another pole put in, and it's going to have an LED. So it's going to be the cleaner light. And instead of kind of that orangey, yellowy as the halide ages, it's going to be that more brighter white. And it's going to be like on or off, how the LEDs kind of work these days.
And also, while you have the ground open, are you going to put in conduit so you can kind of get the all four corners just in case?
Well, that's a great question. So the part of the road on that phase 3 that Corey touched on, that's going to come up in the last piece, and we're going to run some conduit under there. But we're not crossing these other two pieces, and so we're just going to do the one caddy corner. The corner directly across from us, that one is kind of congested with some transformers and electrical and some gas there. So we kind of stayed away from it. So we're just going to do the cross shot. And with two LED lights, we're expecting that we're going to get a much better light out there.
Thanks.
Okay. Were there any other questions?
Did we wind up having to pay TxDOT for?
I believe the TxDOT fees were included in the contracted amount, yes.
Remember how much?
Around $400,000.
400, okay.
A little bit
That was their
between the
projected lost
450.
revenue? Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, anytime, yeah. Text dot.
That's a rabbit hole of a conversation there. Ooh,
That's, yeah.
that will take us into the nighttime for that.
For having that stop there, the revenue that they're gonna lose for people using that versus just staying on the toll.
Now draw that comparison to everything.
A way of projecting the costs of that and charging that either to the city if it's a city project or PCDC or whoever, so that's a state thing.
But isn't right out onto the toll? Or am I missing something?
I'm sorry, say again?
The right out is onto the toll, right?
Yeah, let me clarify just a little bit. So when 130 came through, this 160 acres that was formed, it bisected a lot of properties. And so what TxDOT does is they put in place on paper a restricted access line. And that line happens to extend from Pecan down to this toll booth. Remember when the toll booths just opened and they had people in them for like 2 months and then they were gone? So there's a road, that little access road from Cameron that comes up. And so the restricted access stops there and it goes behind it. And so when they put the restricted access in, the landowners were paid money in that compensation as the purchase price for having their land restricted. And that restricted access says no driveways can go on to 130. So for this came up in 2010. So this is 15, 16 years in the making that I've been involved with it. And so when we went back, they said, well, you have to buy that restricted access back from us. Yeah. And that's the money. So part of the POA agreement that Corey touched on is when we transfer that private drive, Helios, it's a private drive with public access, we're going to transfer it to the POA so that they maintain the infrastructure we're putting down today. And the reason for that real quick is the city, if we were to build a city, it would have been like twice as much money for the city to take it over. So when we transfer that, we're going to bake into that agreement that if TxDOT ever comes back and says, oh, well, we're going to take the restricted access away, they have to pay us back the money for the value of that at whatever future date. So we're going to bake into the agreement with the attorney that if that money ever comes back to the POA, it doesn't go to the POA, it goes to PCDC.
Awesome.
Really interesting is last year, just as we were getting ready to go with the purchase phase, a lease version was snuck in as a conversation, which meant that they could close it whenever they wanted and not have to pay us any kind of restitution at all. And so we were like, no, we'll go this route. That way you got to pay more. We'll follow your philosophy. So
The areas with no access road, that's a part of the reason why too.
like what's that road that's right there off of 45? It's a rabbit hole. We can be here all night behind that topic.
I could go on for another 30 minutes. But I'll stop there. So.
Thank you.
And when Darren was referencing back to 2010, when all this was happening, it was painful and no joke. We, with the acquisition of the property and everything and working with Darren's firm, the PCDC wanted access on 130. And TxDOT sent a really nice letter, no, and they meant it.
Yeah, I remember that.
Really
And
nice.
we tried to do anything we could to get it. So when we knew this opportunity arose that they would consider, that's why we have, again, this is golden. This is something we wanted since we first acquired the property. So we need, and we've, as was just discussed, so we've been extremely careful with all the agreements and making sure it's done in a way that's to the benefit of the PCDC, which is ultimately to the benefit for the citizens of Pflugerville. Not that I'm against TxDOT or think I won't go any further, but all I'm getting to is this was a very sophisticated piece. It wasn't just, oh, let's cooperate, and they were real nice. No, you really were playing chess to make sure it was done correctly. So I think Darren,
So if they were to buy us out, are they going to buy us out at the 400 or the current market cost?
Current market.
Good, all right.
That's why we
Yeah,
didn't
I'm
go
glad
with,
you did
that's why
that.
we didn't go with the lease option.
And they went, darn it.
Want to follow their philosophy.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if there are no other questions, thank you all for your time today.
Thank you.
I do want to make a
Thank you for
comment.
being under budget.
If I can.
Yes.
I want to thank Corey as well as Darren. This management of this project has truly been seamless. I mean, really seamless. Been very communicative. I really appreciate it. Probably one of the better project managers I've worked with. So really thank you. Every time.
I don't know if I'll fit through the door.
No, I mean it. Every time if there was anything that I had concerns about, it was almost as if you were reading my mind and addressed them very quickly. So it's this type of project and this type of project manager that allows me to be able to walk into board meetings confidently, but I'm not going to get caught off guard because you were paying very close attention to that project.
And
So,
under budget, too.
yeah, that part, yeah.
Well, thank you
Saving
very
the
much.
taxpayer.
It's
And tax
always a pleasure to
dollars.
work for PCDC and the city, so hope to continue our relationship on.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Gosh, I love those good news stories.
Oh, yeah.
You know, again, I'm going to keep doing this because this is a time, I think, a critical time for the community to get these little emphasis notes about what we do and why we do it. And over again, the recurring theme is these projects take time. They take time to plan, they take time to execute, and fast is not necessarily better. And I think that the community, it's a good opportunity to remind the community that these projects get planned years in advance before they actually come to fruition. It does not, it happened, you sign the papers last month, and then 2 months from now, you start breaking ground. So just wanted to make that point.
Any other comment? Having heard none, we're going to go to 6E. 6E is 2026-0401, the discussion and possible action regarding the executive director's assignment and role within the 130 Business Park Property Owners Association, the POA, and intent to seek general counsel advisement as needed. Jerry?
Again, good evening, board members and citizens. Wanted to share with you all, I received a letter from the POA president notifying me that she was no longer going to be able to serve in her capacity and seeked me as an option to serve in that capacity. What I would say is based off of what I would believe may be some material concerns. I believe that this is probably one of those conversations that this board should consider going into executive session to have advisement by their counsel. So if you would like to delay or if we have another item, and I don't believe we have another item.
Right, well, right, we do not have another item, and actually, this is an executive session item listed in our executive session portion under 6F. Stan, I want to ask you a question from the standpoint that, do I just leave item 6E open and then we enter into 6F executive session?
Yes, it can be recalled coming out if necessary.
Okay. well,
Yep.
That will be the approach I'll take. I'll leave 6E open so we can go back and recall.
And can you also recognize that Councilman, Board Member Matea is present as well? I just realized that.
Oh,
I've been on for a while. No worries. It's cool.
I checked, he entered at 6:32.
Okay, I was like,
all right.
Got to know now. It's not cash.
So, yes, Oscar.
I just wanted to ask, could you, I guess for the audience and any listeners, what is the POA?
oh, okay, that's the Property Owners Association, probably dating back to the creation of this entire site. There was a POA that was created in order to, I'm going to say, pool resources through assessments for lighting, beautification of the plants and all those different, I'm going to say, amenities that are here. Also maintaining our, I don't want to call it a ditch, the retention pond towards the back of the property, as well as maintenance of our private road that we have. So this has been around dating all the way back to the property being developed. The 17.7 acres is not included in the POA. We are still members because of the 9.1 acres that we own towards the back of the property. So
So it's the owners,
it's a collective group of owners in this park.
so like the big employers that you can see around here, they are paying.
They're paying assessments into this, and this is not assessments by property tax. That is a completely different,
Right.
topic.
Remember-
This is membership assessments based
Like
off
an
of,
HOA fee.
like an HOA fee. It's a business version of an HOA fee.
All right, thank you.
And just for transparency reasons, the only reason why I'm suggesting or recommending executive session is because it is talking about property, it is talking about assessments. It's asking your executive director to do something that you all should have the conversations to identify whether or not you even want that to be considered. So for the public purposes, that's the reason why I'm recommending or even suggesting that you all entertain going into executive session to receive counsel from our general counsel.
Okay. And we do have PCDC board member as well as council member Rudy Mateer online. And Rudy, was there a particular comment that you were wanting to make?
No, I think Jerry encapsulated it well, and I mean you erred on giving more information necessary. So I appreciate that, and I'm glad that Oscar asked that question. So, Mr. President, I'm ready to go into exec session when you're ready.
Very good. So we will leave 6E still open to come back and revisit, but we will now go into 6F, which is our executive session items, 2026-0402. Executive session item deliberation in accordance with sections 551.071 and 551.087 of the Texas Government Code to discuss economic development negotiations and financial information received from businesses expanding or relocating in the city of Pflugerville, and to seek legal advice regarding such projects, incentives, negotiations, including projects Nexus, Z-Star, Server, SIM, Anchor, Gamma, Princess, Longhorn Orange, Print, Blue Jean, Catalyst, and Fit. The second executive session item category is under 551.071, consultation with attorney regarding pending litigation with 15508 Impact Way LLC versus PCDC et al., case 123 CV 07914, U.S. District Court for the Western District of Texas. And 3, executive session item 551.071, consultation with attorney regarding the executive director's assignment and participation in the Property Owners Association, the POA. And the 4th is executive session item, discussion of personnel matters pursuant to Chapter 551.074 of the Texas Government Code regarding the communications and marketing manager and executive assistant. And then 5, executive session item, discussion of personnel matters pursuant to Chapter 551.074 of the Texas Government Code regarding the annual performance evaluation of the executive director. The time now is 7:07. We are in executive session.
Morning now started.
Recording in progress.
Yeah.
The time now is 8:58. We've returned from executive session. No action was taken. Item 7A, 2026-0403, an open session item. Discuss and consider action on executive sessions items as needed. I make a motion that we move to approve the Project Prince agreement as drafted for funding up to $600,000, subject to approval of the Pflugerville City Council. We have a second by DJ. We'll start. DJ? Aye.
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 5-0, approve.
You back?
Rudy's left. Correct, Rudy's not online? Yeah, I thought he was gone. Okay. That covers for that item. We have another project. I move that we approve Project Princess agreement as drafted for funding up to $250,000, subject to approval of the Pflugerville City Council.
Second.
Oscar seconds. Caesar?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, vote is 5-0. We are now adjourned. The time now is 9 o'clock.
The gifts that you have came from the city